Before we get into the ins and outs of all the different projects that we've got here for Excel, we're going to firstly explore how Excel number crunches. If you're already au fait and quite happy with formula, then you can probably miss out this section, but you might learn something, you never know. So we're going to start off with the basics. When it comes to using Excel, and we have an example here, every cell can be referenced using its column, letter, and its row number. Now that's vitally important when it comes to dealing with maths. So the basics are, we start with a cell where we would like the result of our formula, and then a basic formula might be equals B1 plus C1. So that's effectively telling it that A1 equals B1 plus C1. Every single formula that you add into Excel must begin with an equals. Without it, Excel doesn't know that you want to carry out any calculations. Now it's quite nice in that it color codes, so B1 is color coded blue and it has a blue box around it, C1 is color coded green and it has a green box around it. When I press return, I then get the result of the formula, which is 0, because there's nothing in B1 and C1. I go place some numbers in, a 3 and a 6, and hey presto, they then get added up. So we'll come down to A2 and we'll do equals B1 minus C1. So we're now taking the two cells, the same two cells as we had for the plus, but we're now taking one away from the other, C1 away from B1. And return, and we get a result of minus 3. Don't forget that any changes on source cells, so if here I were to put 91 in, as soon as I press return, the two results become different. So 91 adds 6 is 97, 91 minus 6 is 85. Let's come down to A3 and add another operator in, which is equals B1 multiply by C1. Notice the multiply symbol is not a little x, but the asterisk symbol, and return. And then I get a large number of 546, which is 91 times 6. The fourth operator equals B1 divided by is a forward slash C1. And the result is 15.166667. So these are your basic four operators: plus, minus, multiply, and divide. And regardless of where the cells are on your sheet, I mean the ones I'm using here are just B1 and C1, but they could be miles away. We could be IV 3,500. The same rules apply. Cell reference, do what you want to it with the operator, another cell reference. Now there is one more operator which you'll hardly ever use, but it is available, which is B1, little hat, which is above your 6, C1. That is going to produce a large number here. In fact, so large it's been changed into scientific notation, 5.67896E plus 11. That's 11 places onto that decimal place. So the decimal place needs to move this way 11 times to get how big that number is. So let's make them a little bit smaller. 2 and a 3. So we've got 2 plus 3 is 5, 2 minus 3 is minus 1, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 divided by 3 is 0.666667, 2/3, and 2 little hat 3 is 8. The little hat means to the power of. So 2 to the power of 3 is 8. So that's 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. So those are your basic 5 operators. Now, as they are, they work fine. But on occasions, you may find that you come a little unstuck. Let's put another number there in D6 and come across here. If I want to combine my operators, so if I were to say equals B1 plus C1 multiplied by D1, so I'm using all three of these cells. Notice I've got another color here now, purple, and return, I get a result of 20. So that's 2 plus 3 is 5 times 6 is 20. No, it's not. It's 30. Notice that the result is not quite what you might expect. The reason for that is because of BODMAS. That's the order of calculation. Now, a human being will work left to right and work out this plus and then work out the multiplication. A computer will look at the whole set of formula and work on its own internal built criteria. That internal built criteria is based around the acronym BODMAS, BODMAS, where B is brackets, O is operand, so that's our little power of thing here, divide and multiply, addition and subtraction. Now effectively, if you're mixing divide and multiplication, it doesn't matter what order things happen in, you'll get the same result. And the same with addition and subtraction. It's when you start to mix that pairing with an operand that things will slightly give you a different answer, as we have here. So what we actually want to do here is add in some brackets, which are first on Excel's list of order of control. So if I put an open bracket there and a closed bracket there, it means that Excel will do the brackets first before it does the multiplication. And when I press return, we then get 30, which was the result I was initially expecting. So that is BODMAS. The thing with BODMAS is you'll forget that you need to worry about the order of operation until you don't quite get the result you were expecting. And then you'll think brackets, because the brackets allow you to effectively control the order that something happens in, because brackets are first on its list. Now, as you want to progress with maths, as we do, if we had a long series of information, so in a column in this case here, and we wanted to add those up, you really wouldn't want to go through the process. Let's say we're putting the solution here of saying equals A9 plus A10 plus A11 plus A12 plus A13 plus A14 plus A15 plus A16 plus A17. It would work, but it would be very long-winded. What would be nicer is if we could actually just tell Excel about the range, and we can. If you tell Excel the first cell in the range, which is A9, then put a colon, and the last cell in the range, which is A17, you can see that the range gets highlighted in its first color, which is blue. So Excel knows we are referring to this set of cells here, and I haven't had to say that cell plus that cell plus that cell plus that cell. There is one slight problem though when I press return, in that we get hash value. The reason we get hash value is not a problem with the range. Excel's quite happy. We've told it the range is there. What we haven't told it is what we want to do to the range. And that's where we start to get into using functions. And the function we require here is sum. So the sum goes after the equals, before the brackets, and effectively now tells Excel, that's the range I'm after, please. Add them up. Return, and the addition is 489. Now there are many functions, but they all follow the same format effectively. Let's use average as another example. Equals average, open brackets, this range here, and then we would close the brackets to complete the formula. But Excel being a nice little program, I don't even need to close the bracket. I can just press return, and it will close the bracket for me. If I revisit that formula, you'll see two things. Firstly, the bracket's being closed, and secondly, all the formula has been changed into uppercase. So you will see that as well if you type rather than select with the mouse. Formulas and cell references are all then produced and changed into uppercase. So this takes things a little bit further than single cells. You can still use your four operators, plus, minus, times, divide, and a little to the power of. But when you're dealing with ranges, you'll then need to start involving functions. So we have here average, and this one is sum. So it's equals function name, open brackets, range you want to do that function to, close bracket, and the function is carried out. Bear in mind when you're dealing with a range though, it's every cell in that range. You can't have a gap. Well, you can have a gap. The cell there with 87 could be empty, but you can't ask it to add up those and miss that one out without asking it to add up two separate ranges, which is all possible. So that's the basics for math in Excel. Just to get you started, start with very basic equals one cell plus another cell, and then use the other operators, minus, times, which is a little asterisk, divide, which is a forward slash, and to the power of, which is a little hat. Then we had to take in consideration BODMAS. So using the brackets in this case, the first item in Excel's hierarchy to control how the formula calculates, and then moved on to using functions for ranges of cells. And obviously as you go through the projects in this title, you'll come across a lot more functions and other ways of using these regular functions.